simply the older generation don't really understand what younger generation is doing. One thing that connects old and young is quest for freedom in the Middle East. So the young people understand exactly what older people have been struggling for, because they are under the same pressure, unreasonable pressure by the government. The government that has kept them down. Have you ever wondered why a small country like Dubai can become the greatest construction site in the world, can have the tallest skyscrapers in the world, with virtually no oil? And Egypt, a country of 80 million, the oldest, the richest, the culturally most prosperous country in the Middle East, has a situation of about 30% poverty. Because the government doesn't want the middle class. Middle class is troublesome. Middle class wants freedom. So they are keeping the middle class down. How? By systematic corruption and cutting off the country from the rest of the world. You want to try to be a merchant in Egypt. The bureaucracy will kill you. They want bribes. They throw monkey wrenches in your work. They won't allow you to become part of the global movement. The government doesn't want it. The government is more for keeping itself in power. So what the young people did was they started their own means of revolution. I have a little history here. I have very little time for it. Is that in every revolution, the means by which people conducted the revolution changed. The French Revolution, the American Revolution of 1776, French Revolution of 1789 were print revolutions. You had pamphleteers, Thomas Paine, Rights of Man. So the ideas spread by print. The governments got wind of this, especially in the non-Western world, and shut down the print and imposed censorship. In a place like Iraq under Saddam Hussein, even typewriters were not allowed. Because you can make a statement on a typewriter and you can put a carbon copy, something that most of you probably have never seen carbon copies. And you can make a few copies and you can start a revolution. So you had to be registered for a typewriter. So they thought they had it all under their thumb. And of course, when the mass media came about, radio and television, they never were able to be used by revolutions because they are high-tech and the governments immediately monopolized them and used them as the means of propaganda. Now, in 1979, Iranian Revolution happened by young people who used means of communication that the government never thought would be have revolutionary potential. They used cassette tapes. Remember cassette tapes and Walkmans? They used cassette tapes. They would take the revolutionary speeches, and then cassette tapes would be smuggled. And then there was these machines, maybe some of you have seen, the machines for reproducing. You put one cassette tape there and there are 20 slots, and then that way, cassette tapes and Xerox, that was supposed to be, it's just a Xerox, it's an office implement, was used for the Iranian Revolution. 2009, 2010 revolution, 2009 was the first one in Iran. They called it Twitter revolution. I had a master's student by the name of Ahmad Mahran, who is now, has moved on, he's in Holland. He wrote his master's thesis in 2008 under me on the role of Facebook in Egypt. This is 2 years before the actual revolution of Egypt. And he noticed that in Egypt, Facebook is used differently. Well, what does Facebook mean? For those of you who have seen social network, and some of you may have Facebook pages, I don't know. Facebook, the word Facebook comes from what? What's the origin of Facebook? Yes, it's the old high school things that had a yearbook, yeah. So the idea is that you put your face on there, that is your Facebook. And put your information so other people can find you. But in Egypt, if you do that, your goose is cooked. You cannot put your face on the Facebook. So in Egypt, what they did, every Facebook has a fake face and a fake name. So it is used in a way that was never imagined in the United States. And what are they talking about? Talking about things that the government and the authorities don't want you to talk about. Talk about rights, talk about reform Islam, that Islam may be a different interpretation of Islam. It's not what these muftis are telling us. The mufti of Al-Azhar is in the pay of Hosni Mubarak. He gets a monthly payment. Of course he's not going to tell us that what this guy is doing is un-Islamic. Talk about gay rights. There are gay networks, and they are virtually impossible to detect. The title of his thesis was Far From Heaven. And when this revolution started, I emailed him, he emailed me and said, wow, we predicted this would happen. Because you can see, and young people do this, and the authorities are just like their dads. At home, your dad doesn't really know what you're doing. They know a little bit, but they don't know the whole story. I went to a friend of mine. He said, oh, my son, he doesn't get on the network at all. He just plays on video games. I took one look, and so he's actually on the internet. He's playing the game on the internet. So I said to his dad, do you know that he's on the internet? He said, no, he's playing the game. He's playing the game with other people on the internet. And the idea was, this guy is a New York lawyer, a high-powered New York lawyer. You can't get more hip than this guy, knowing what's going on. He had no idea if you play a game, you can be also on the internet. The government didn't know. I thought it was just a form of kind of distraction for young people. So this is how this revolution happened. And now, of course, the government is trying to control this. The biggest government trying to control this is China. And China has come up with the most sophisticated means of stopping this whole thing by programs. And they are exporting those programs to places like Iran. So, but of course, it's in a way you can call it a kind of an arms race between people and their governments. I'm almost at the end of my presentation. Now that I talked to you about the common denominators, I also would like to talk about the little bit of bad news, and that is the differences that set these countries apart from the rest of the region. Iran is set apart because it has a different nationality and different religion and different language. Iranians are Persian speaking and they are Shiite Muslims. And of course the governments are trying to say, oh, don't listen to those Iranians because they are not like us Arabs. They have a different agenda. Libya and Yemen have tribal structures. And tribal loyalty is very, very real in the Middle East. So if you are from the tribe of the leader, no matter how much you hate the leader, you have to say, oh, this is from our Tripolian tribe. So we don't want to go back to King Idris and his tribe that are in eastern Libya. So tribal organization plays a huge part. Same thing in Yemen. It's a tribal country. The difference is that in Yemen, the modern institutions were not systematically destroyed. So the army was intact. So it was the general in the army who said, I don't believe in this guy anymore, even though he's from my tribe. So things went much better in Yemen. But in Libya, all the modern institutions are systematically destroyed. So we are down to a kind of a tribal war between eastern and western Libya.